Thank you, the Sir Alba Pipes and Drums Band. Today, as well as there being an AUOB march in Perth, there'll be 3 cheers. And then there'll be the pre-prepared spiel. There's also, I gather the numbers are something in the order of 15,000 or 500 in BBC. Maybe even 20. There'll be lots of debate about that in the coming weeks. But this isn't the only all under one banner march happening in these islands today. There's also a big one in Merthyr as AUOB Cllr are having their big day. And the National has actually printed a Welsh edition for that, and still it's probably getting covered up by copies of the Cardiff Echo and the Co-op and all sorts of things like that. But it just goes to show that the Union's jacket is really on a sugly nail, and it's days like this that make that more obvious. And it's great to see the all under one banner ethos begin to permeate throughout the land and hasten the day when Scotland and Wales get their independence. Today we have right here with us today's Chief Steward, and he's been leading you all the way with his high-vis jacket, and he'll tell you a wee bit more about that AUOB ethos. It's Cllr Mackay, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, Perth. What a magnificent demonstration. As it came down the Creef Road, we reckon there's up to 20,000 people from Perth marching for independence. It's a huge round of applause for the people of Perth. Yes. And I have to say, my favourite chant of the day was, someone says, I shout Boris, you shout ditch. You ready for it? When I shout Boris, you shout ditch. Boris. Boris. Boris, Boris, Boris. Oh, that feels better, doesn't it? Everybody, I've been involved with All Under One Banner for about 5 years, and I've been involved in the stewarding team. And I think they did a magnificent job today in keeping people safe and making sure we enjoyed ourselves. But we got the message that Boris's days are numbered and independence is on the agenda. So I wanted people to thank the stewards and the organisers of the stage. A huge amount of effort goes into these events, and we couldn't do it without the stewards team. So thank you very much for all the volunteers who made this a possible event. And I want to move on quickly to talking about why we're here. Because sometimes, in periods of crisis, which we live in at the moment, it's necessary to bring a government down. We face that situation, and we say clearly, Boris has no mandate to rule in Scotland. We're opposed to his coup. We will stop the coup, and we will bring Boris Johnson down. When Boris says there's no appetite for independence in Peterhead, there must be something seriously ill with that man. Because it's clear that our movement is gaining in strength and momentum, the length and breadth of Scotland. This union is in crisis, and it's time for the divorce settlement to happen with Scotland. It's time to break up Britain. It's time to break up the United Kingdom. And we know why, don't we? What does Boris have in store for us? We know what he's got in store for us. He wants to sell the NHS off to the Trump-loving, racist, misogynist, private people, billionaires in America. Will we let them sell off our NHS? No. No way. We know what the plans are for pensioners. Work till you die. Work till you're 75. Will we let that happen? No. We know what they have in store when it comes to migrants and refugees. They're whipping up hatred. They're whipping up racism. And we say that every migrant who is here is welcome here. Scotland is a nation of immigrants. My family are rooted from Donegal like many other people. and they were welcomed. We will not go back to the days when it says no dogs, no blacks, no Irish. That's not the kind of Scotland that we want. And I've got a couple of other small points to make, because that's why we need Indy Ref 2. For every day that Boris Johnson rules this country, we know that means pensioners dying of hypothermia. We know it means closures of hospitals. We know it means attacks like universal credit to break the poor. That's why we're seeing the suicide rates increase in Scotland, because of Tory policies. And the all under one banner message is, we can't wait any longer for Indy Ref 2. We want it now. The government have the mandate. They need to use the mandate. Two other very small points. While we are marching in this beautiful countryside of Perth, the Amazon is burning. They're destroying the planet. And I take great hope and inspiration from the young people in Extinction Rebellion who are occupying our cities, their universities, and they're calling on people on the 20th of September to take to the streets to save the planet. Will we support that? Will we join it? Let's make that happen. My final point, in Edinburgh on the 5th of October, we will be marching in our hundreds of thousands. I have a vision that it could be bigger than the Make Poverty History demonstration, which had up to 300,000 people on it. Can we make it that big? Yes, we can make it that big. And whether you're yes or no in Europe, for Europe, we need to unite our movement and keep our eyes on the prize, which is to get rid of this Tory government and prepare for Indy Ref 2. That's why, all under one banner, in October, we'll be organising a National Assembly in Glasgow to bring all of our supports together with a particular emphasis on building next year's campaign to break for the British state. So have a great day, keep up the fight, bring down Boris. Here we go.
The Deputy First Minister of Scotland, Mr. John Swinney.
Hello friends, it's an enormous pleasure to welcome you to the city of Perth for this demonstration of our solidarity and support for Scottish independence. Welcome to Perth. Can I thank all of the organisers and the stewards for doing such a tremendous job in making sure that we made our way here from Newhouse Road safely and securely, and we demonstrated to the people of Perth our commitment to Scottish independence, and we encourage them to follow us in the journey that we've all been on to be supporters of Scottish independence. So thank you to the stewards and the organisers for putting on this tremendous occasion for us here in the city of Perth. The last 2 weeks have demonstrated, if anybody needed to hear, that the United Kingdom system is absolutely broken and it no longer serves the interests of the people of Scotland. Boris Johnson has behaved in a cavalier fashion towards democracy, ignoring the democratic wishes of the people of Scotland, ignoring the democratic voice of the elected parliament. Boris Johnson is not fit to be the Prime Minister of a democratic society. But what the last 2 weeks demonstrate to anybody is that the Tory government is prepared to ride roughshod over the opinions of the people of Scotland, and we are here today to say you will not do that to the opinions of the people of Scotland. And what this event today is all about is about bringing us all together from all sorts of backgrounds, from all political views to say that we are united by the argument that Scotland should be able to choose our own future, and we want to choose independence as the future of our country. And we are Democrats in Scotland, and we believe in the right of the people of our country to choose our own future. That's the historical roots of Scottish society. It's what we hold dear. It was the opinion that led to the foundation of the Scottish Parliament, the democratic expression of the will of the people of Scotland, and nobody, not Boris Johnson or anybody else, can stand in the way of the democratic wishes of the people of this country. As I came into Perth this morning, the Courier newspaper boards in front of the shops were talking about the crisis that faces the food bank in the city of Perth. The food bank in the city of Perth. In 21st century Scotland, it is a disgrace that we have to have food banks in our society. And that is a product of Westminster decisions, which are bad decisions, decisions that cause hardship and harm for the people of our country. And independence is the way to sort that out. Because with independence, we have the ability to do the right thing, the decent thing, like my government did to abolish the bedroom tax in Scotland. Like we did to give the Best Start grant to our youngest and most vulnerable citizens. Just like we do in making sure that children get the best start in life, independence gives us the chance to do exactly that. And what we've got to do as a movement is make sure that we stick together and make sure that we talk to those who are not yet persuaded of our argument. Because they're out there and they're interested. They're horrified by what Boris Johnson is doing to the British democracy. They are horrified by what Boris Johnson and the Tories want to do to our society. And they want to hear from us the compelling arguments for Scottish independence. And for us, the arguments for independence are about creating a fair, tolerant, inclusive society that delivers good opportunities for the people of Scotland, where we all, regardless of where we've come from, are united and where we're going together. That's the message of independence that we've got to take to people in Scotland today. And the last thing I'll say to you is this. In all my 40 years of campaigning for Scottish independence, I have never felt more optimistic about the likelihood of winning this argument. We have demonstrated in the Scottish Parliament over the last 20 years that when people elected by the people of Scotland and accountable to the people of Scotland take decisions in the best interests of all of the people of Scotland. And that is the prospect that we have on offer to the people of Scotland through independence. That on all issues, on welfare, on the economy, on nuclear weapons, on the international stance of Scotland, on all of these issues, we can take the right decisions for the people of Scotland. And that message is resonating the length and breadth of our country. Poll after poll shows that people steadily, gradually, are coming to the same opinion as we have come to, that Scotland's best future is independence. Let's talk to the... Let's listen to our fellow citizens. Let's talk with them. Let's persuade with them. And then together, let's vote unanimously for Scottish independence and deliver the best future for our country. Thank you very much.
Oh, tremendous. Thank you very much, John Swinney. Now, you don't think we'd leave you with just one parliamentarian. We've got two for the price of one. Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome, please, to the stage, the MP for Perth and North Perthshire, Mr. Pete Wishart.
Thank you very much, Ian. And can I say to you today, after representing this city for 18 years, you are a magnificent sight. People filling the streets of Perth, passionate about the future of their country, committed to our nation's independence, sovereignty and freedom. You are welcome to the city of Perth. Enjoy your day here. Friends, you can feel it. You can feel it. It's in the air. It's in every street of every community in this beautiful country. It is coming. It is getting to a crescendo. This is a nation that is ready for its independence, and no one and nobody or nothing will deny our nation our independence. I've just got back from Westminster. I go there so you don't have to. It's a place that's in the middle of some sort of catastrophic breakdown. It is being run by a cult of Brexit obsessives, and they are determined to take this country to the very, very brink. And they expect Scotland to go along with them. Today, we say no. You will not take our beautiful nation out of the European Union against its national collective view. And there was an opinion poll today. Did you see it? Every single Scottish Conservative is to be defeated. There's a general election coming. That general election is redolent of opportunity for this movement. Redolent with opportunity. We will put to the Scottish people that we determine and we will have our right to choose, and that right to choose will result in our nation being independent. And wouldn't it be good to see a Scotland without Ross Thompson? A Scotland rid of the likes of my neighbour, Luke Graham. A Scotland free from, what's he called? Alistair Jack. Yeah, that's his name. A Scotland rid of even David Mundell. 13 Tories gone. They have been the front line in unionism in Scotland. They went to Westminster to try and thwart the ambitions of this movement, and we have the opportunity to sweep them all away as if they never ever existed. And we will do that. We will do that in this general election. Do you know something, colleagues? And it's hard to think this. This city voted no. Not just, it voted no, but it significantly voted no. Do you want me to tell you what's happening in Perth? Do you want me to tell you? There are people in this city of Perth who are now considering joining this movement. They are appalled at what they're seeing with this Boris Johnson government. They are appalled at what they see about the suspension of this democracy, the suspending democracy. They are appalled about what they are seeing, about this government's doing and taking us out of the European Union with a hard deal. And they're looking round and they are liking what they are seeing. They are seeing a movement that's ready to accept them. Our job is to make that journey as easy and accessible as possible, because, friends, we are at a tipping point that will soon be unstoppable, and when we get that sustained majority support, no one will stop us, and we will have our independence of a nation. So I say to these people, if you don't like Boris Johnson, you cannot stomach him, you do not like what you see, join us. If you want Scotland to stay in the European Union, you are appalled that we are being taken out against our national collective will, join us. If you are against the suspension of democracy, stopping us scrutinising this government, join us. If you want to believe in the right to choose of the people of Scotland, join us. If you want to see your nation in the hands of the Scottish people, join us, join us, join us.
Another inspiring speech there. Thank you, Pete Wishart. Please gather round and welcome onto the stage our next speaker, Mr. Peter Bell.
Good afternoon, everybody. Cosy in. Right, I've actually written this down today. I don't usually do that, but I've written this down because I've got quite a lot to say, and I kind of figured that, this being my hometown and that, I kind of figured that they'd give me a wee bit of leeway. But if they cut me off halfway through, I promise you I'll finish this speech in Glasgow in 2 weeks' time at the Hope Over Fair. So it might be 2 instalments. 5 years ago, about daft in the morning of Friday, 19th of September, I walked out of that building back there feeling pretty bloody dejected. I'd been at the count for the 2014 independence referendum, and of course, by that time, we all knew the outcome. We'd lost. I am here to G up. The day before, Thursday the 18th of September, something truly extraordinary happened. What we had in Scotland on that day was democracy in its purest form. For 15 hours on that day, the people of Scotland held in their hands total political power. Total political power. By the early hours of Friday morning, we knew that as a nation, we'd chosen to hand that power back to the British political elite. No wonder I was bloody dejected. I don't have to tell you. I don't have to tell you about this. Most of you here you'll be well aware of how that no vote struck us down. But we weren't down for long, were we? Yeah. Within hours, the Yes movement was revitalised and reinvigorated and reorganised. Within hours, our networks were buzzing again. Within hours, we were off our knees and on our feet. Looking around me today, I see that 5 years on, we're still standing. We're still standing tall. We're still standing strong. We're standing and marching and working to rectify the mistake we made 5 years ago. We are still yes. We are all yes. We are always yes. I was surprised. I was surprised at how quickly the Yes movement recovered. But not half as surprised as our opponents. They thought the independence campaign would just evaporate. They thought Scotland had been put in its place. It had been put back in its box. They thought we'd give up. I have a message for all those who would deny Scotland its rightful status in the world. We are never giving up. Never. You can disrespect us, you can decry us, you can denigrate us, but you cannot deter us and you can never defeat us. A cause whose time has come will not be denied. Democracy will not be denied. Scotland will not be denied. Independence is inevitable. It is inevitable because any constitutional settlement which succeeds in terms of the aims, ambitions and objectives of the British state necessarily fails in terms of the needs, priorities and aspirations of Scotland's people, which is just a fancy way of saying that independence is inevitable because we will not settle for anything less. I say, we'll get to the serious bit now. I say that independence is inevitable, but that doesn't mean we should not or need not be concerned about how we get there. And when I say how we get there, I mean both the process by which we come to a referendum and the manner in which we conduct a campaign to win that referendum. In relation to both the process being followed and the campaigning strategy, I have been somewhat critical of our First Minister and the SNP leadership. Well, watch what I'm saying, they're standing behind me. Actually, there are probably a few around here that would consider that an understatement. I've been critical of what I regarded as wasted time and squandered opportunities. I cannot help but note that despite an insistence on the efficacy of an approach which mirrors that taken in the 2014 campaign, the polls have barely twitched in all the 5 years since then. I ask the question, if this relentlessly positive approach is effective, where is the effect? I ask the question, if the strategy of selling independence on the doorsteps like an over-50s insurance plan is the way to succeed, why have the sales figures flatlined? I ask the question, why is this strategy not being scrutinised and radically different alternatives considered? I have been critical of the lack of urgency in Nicola Sturgeon's approach. Her calmness amidst the chaos of British politics is admirable. But Scotland's predicament is parlous. The threat to our democratic institutions, our essential public services, and our very identity as a nation is real and imminent. When you see the sole of a boot about to come crashing down on your face, that is not the time to be passively pondering the pattern of the tread on that boot. That is the time to be taking evasive or defensive action. I have been critical of Nicola Sturgeon's obstinate commitment to the Section 30 process. I don't have time to go into detail on why I consider this to be folly, although I suspect I'll find a bit of agreement here. I'll make only one point on this. Nicola Sturgeon insists that she will adhere to the Section 30 process because she wants to avoid any legal challenge to the outcome of the referendum. I say we should have no fear of such challenges. If Scotland is not prepared to face challenges in court or anywhere else to its constitutional claim and the always democratic means by which that claim is pursued, then Scotland is not ready to be restored to the status of an independent nation. Independent nations which are worthy of that designation do not seek to avoid such challenges. They stand ready to confront and defeat them. If Scotland's cause is worthy, as I believe it to be, if Scotland's cause is just, as I believe it to be, if Scotland's cause is righteous, as I believe it to be, then it is a cause that we should be prepared to fight for. And it is a cause that we should be prepared to defend against any and all challenges. The choice now confronting everybody who calls Scotland their country is between the Scotland we know, the Scotland we aspire to, the Scotland we hope to bequeath to future generations, and a Scotland conscripted into the service of those forces which put Boris Johnson into power. We must recognise and convey to others that it is the Union which gives Boris Johnson power over Scotland. It is the Union which allows the British political elite to impose austerity on Scotland. It is the Union which allows them to treat the democratic will of Scotland's people with cold, casual contempt. Brexit isn't the problem, the Union is the problem. Tory austerity isn't the problem, the Union is the problem. Boris Johnson isn't the problem, the Union is the problem. My friends, we have a way out. It's a way which may not be simple, but it's certainly uncomplicated. We must dissolve the Union. We must persuade the people of Scotland of the urgent need to dissolve the Union by informing them in an honest and forthright manner about what the Union means for our nation and our democracy and our dignity. We must then hold a referendum in which we ask the people the question, do you want to dissolve the Union? And we must fervently hope that, having learned the harsh lessons of the mistake we made in 2014, and for the sake of all Scotland's future generations, the people answer, yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
Right, we'll move on rapidly to the next speaker, but I want to say two things. People have been queuing up, literally queuing up, to tell me that the toilets are round the corner there, so if you were going to pee behind a tree, don't do it. There's Portaloos there, and you don't need to go to the salubrious stuff in the concert hall. Lovely, lovely Portaloos round the corner. Also, there's a set of keys in my hand that somebody is missing. They may not know they're missing them. They've got a black bit and a Perth locksmith sign and a little goldish chain. So if they're yours, please come round and claim them. Now, not only did we have two parliamentarians, but we have a man frae the council with us. Would you welcome, please, on stage, the leader of the SNP group in Perth and Kinross Council, Mr. Dave Dugan.
Good afternoon, Marchers for Independence. And a very good afternoon it is. You have no idea how expensive it is to turn weather like this on, but Perth and Kinross are just happy you're here and enjoying it. So, a very warm welcome. We're very pleased to see such a huge turnout coming to our wee city here in Perth. And looking out from this stage across all the smiling faces and the saltires and the lion rampants is a fantastic sight to see. The passion and anticipation of independence is etched across everybody's faces, and that's because we know it's happening. Or at least some of us do. I'm afraid I've got bad news. There was a senior so-called Tory councillor writing in the local paper today who says, and I'll quote, he said, our magnificent march, as we see it here today, he's described as a waste of time. And he said that the shops in Perth and Kinross will suffer terribly by this march. Well, unsurprisingly, I disagree with the Tories on that and almost everything, not almost, everything else. And I know for a fact that 10,000 independence marchers coming to our city on a sunny September Saturday is absolutely rocket fuel for Perth. So thank you all very much for coming to see us. Every single marcher here, gathered here today, every pace that we took from 7 Acres coming down here, or every other pace that we've taken in Oban, in Glasgow, or in Aberdeen, every single step of the road is a signal to the people of Scotland, to the people of these islands, and to the nations of the world that independence is on the march and we are not stopping for anybody. So you better be listening, Boris. How's that? And let us celebrate, because this is true, let us celebrate that the end of our journey is now in sight. The clouds of the union are lifting, and the clarity that we need as activists to help people come across the line to yes, that clarity is at hand. And it's been a long road, has it not? But we are secure in our knowledge that our journey has a firm and independent destination. And our pace towards that destination is quickening. Friends, independence is now within touching distance. And there's a good reason for our acceleration towards independence, and it's rooted in a very important switch. A switch from the Scotland that I and almost every one of us here grew up in. A Scotland lacking the confidence of itself and under the heel of one of the most powerful imperialist governments this world has ever witnessed. But the Scotland today is completely transformed, is it not? We are brimming with confidence. We are overflowing with ideas and ambition for our country's future. Not only has that transformation taken place in Scotland, but our battle to secure our country's sovereignty again is against the weakest, most divided and impotent UK government in living memory. I get a bit dry mouth when I talk about the UK. But it's worth a quick canter through the milestones which have brought us to this point. We all got a bit home ruly back in the 19th century. So in 85, they thought they'd shut us up with a Scottish secretary. But that didn't work. So by 1926, they decided what we needed to shut Scotland up was a Secretary of State for Scotland. Our man in the cabinet. He'll have Scotland's voice at the heart of government. Well, that never worked. And then in 1968, the Honourable Ted Heath, just a quarter of a mile over there in Perth City Hall, he issued the Declaration of Perth. I'm not sure if you know that, but that's true. And he said that devolution was a reality and it was going to happen for Scotland. Well, 11 years later, the powers that be at Westminster had destroyed devolution the first time. But they were going to cheer us up with the Barnett formula. A few extra quid here or there, but we're going to take all your oil and gas, we're going to shut all your coal mines, and we're going to put all your shipbuilders and steel workers out of work. But there's no need to complain about that. But that devastation of our country across the 1980s laid the bedrock for our Scottish Parliament, and we all know the last 20 years pretty well and how we've got to this point. But these milestones are important, such as the additional tax-raising powers that we got after IndyRef, and it's the pattern that's emerged. Every time we get all indie on them, they give us something in the hope that it quietens us down. But we're never going to quieten down. Certainly not for rubbish like the vow. And the vow, you'll remember the vow. It's easy to remember because there was nothing in it. The vow was important because it shows us that something fundamental is changing. And that is that the UK has nothing left to give. There are no concessions left to make to Scotland. No sweeties left to scatter on the floor for us. And their cupboard is bare. Nothing except fear remains in their arsenal. Project Fear. We saw them saw it writ large during Indiref the first time. Do you remember that lot? Anybody remember Joanne Lamont? Or the big beast, Jim Murphy? Where's he now? And just what was it that the No campaign decided was so spectacularly wrong with us and our nation that somehow we couldn't exist or thrive without being under the heel of our very much larger neighbour and simultaneously exploited and ignored at the same time? They were very slow to tell us that during the Indiref campaign, preferring instead to jibber-jabber on about meaningless platitudes like better together, which nobody knows what that means. And they'll tell us that we're lucky. You, Scotland, you're lucky to be a member of the most successful union in the world. Oh, are we? Right. Well, just so that we can understand that more fully, can you point out to us perhaps where the second most successful union in the world is, or maybe the third? And they can't, of course, because no nation would tolerate living under this level of subjugation. And there's a delicious irony, is there not? The contrast between the national ambition with independence to elevate our country, Scotland, onto the world stage and to have our voice heard, to continue our skills, to have our skills and our perspective into the apparatus of the international global system. The world doesn't have Scotland in it just now. We're not part of the system. We've got to get on board. Compare that with the infighting and backbiting in Westminster as it seeks to wrench itself out of the EU and turn it into some marginalised European offshore irrelevance. We cannot allow Scotland and ourselves and our future generations in this nation to be dragged down with their self-inflicted Brexit decline. A decline only masked by the most ridiculous, misty-eyed Nigel Farage nostalgia for a world gone by which never actually existed in the first place and therefore can never ever be rediscovered. The fact that Brexit England is steadfastly looking back while we, here in Scotland and in the Yes movement, have our gaze firmly fixed on a brighter, more prosperous and fairer future for our country, together with all the other compelling reasons against the UK, means that the UK is already dead. And who's going to stop us? Is it Scottish Labour? Are they even still a thing? I think in the Better Together Pact, that certainly worked out a little bit better for the Tories rather than Labour. And no disrespect to any Labour for Indie colleagues. So the Tories, they might have us again with their Say No for Indiref, Say No to Indiref 2 campaign. That worked really well for them over the last couple of years. But they seem to be undoing that from the inside. Here in Perth and Kinross, we've got a council led by the Tories, and they've just managed to translate a 10-seat majority into a 1-seat minority. That I can tell you, that takes real talent. The Tories in Holyrood, well, they're leaderless, and I include Jackson Carlow in that assessment. All we need to do now is get Murdo Fraser elected as the new leader of the Tories, and our work in Holyrood is done. But we might well come unstuck with the Tories at Westminster because they are so well organised. They're right across it. They know exactly what they're doing. Well, maybe not. I think it's safe to say when you're in the business of expelling arch-Thatcherites like Ken Clarke and the grandson of Winston Churchill, Sir Nicholas Soames, and former leadership candidate Rory Stewart for chucking them out of your party, I think they've got other things to worry about. And what they're worried about is Boris. Boris, as a Prime Minister, brought forward 4 votes and lost them all. He's been lambasted for that stunt with the police cadets, an absolute gross abuse of the police services of the country. And the Chief Constable of that force has distanced himself from that outrageous stunt. And he's seriously, apparently, contemplating going against the law to get a no-deal Brexit through on the 31st of October. Scotland needs no part any longer of that craziness. It's an obvious thing to say, but sometimes, as it's going on day after day, you just have to take a step back and look, stop it. We need to get out of here. So, people, all of us here, yes, activists, with our political enemies distracted and or dysfunctional, let us stay focused and active. Let us get our positive message for a brighter, fairer future for Scotland ingrained in Scotland's consciousness. Let us be the IndyRef activists who don't just persuade people of the merits of independence, but we get them energised for yes. We get them demanding, together with their families, friends and colleagues, demanding that we get independence for Scotland and that we get out of this dysfunctional and discredited union. So a big thank you to everybody all under one banner. It's a great opportunity to speak to you here today, to bring the thumping heartbeat of independence to our fantastic little city. Please don't rush off from Perth. It's just a couple of 100 yards into the city centre, as you know, where everybody's got their shops, cafes and restaurants ready to give you a really warm welcome. And one final thing. The Stone of Destiny is coming back to Perth and Kinross. Please get on the Historic Scotland website and sign the petition saying bring back the Stone of Destiny to Perth.
Our next speaker is from Stand Up for Racism. She was also part of Perth Against Racism, who did a marvellous protest against a racist group here in Perth just 2 years ago this weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome to the stage Makai.
Well, hello. Thank you for being accommodating and dropping the mic down for me. Yeah, my name is Kat, and I was really struggling to know how to start my speech today. So I took my inspiration from social media and I annoyed my friends with some questions. And my inspiration came from an Englishman. On social media, he had written that he wished us luck with independence, and if we got independence, he might move here. And the responses to that were absolutely amazing. One lady had written, "Everyone is welcome. We are a forward-thinking, inclusive country." And the next guy, and I loved this one, he said, "You're more than welcome to come here. The kettle is always on." And I think that should be the strapline for Scotland. The kettle is always on. The second post I did see on one of the pages, and I'm going to call it out because it was extremely anti-English. I love my English friends and family, but I was absolutely hardened to see that every single person on that post called them out for that behaviour, and they said, "That's not the Scotland we are. We are a welcoming, inclusive country." And I think in the same way that that was called out, our leaders should really regulate each other and call them out for bad behaviour. And there's one glaring, obviously orange example of that. Do you know who I mean? Aye, that Trump. You see, Donald Trump, we're here about a special relationship with the UK. And Donald Trump, he uses dehumanising, insightful, disgusting, racist language. And he's whipping up so much hatred in America that culminates when you see a rally when crowds of people are shouting "Send her home" about a woman of colour. And I want the leader of my country to call that out. But what I've got is Boris Johnson desperately trying to hump Donald Trump's leg to get a trade deal. That's not acceptable. Another thing that I would like to see is UK licensing arms deals to stop. £6 billion of arms have been sold from Scotland and England that are being used in one of the biggest humanitarian crises that we've seen in decades. Millions of people have been displaced from their homes. 850,000 children have starved of malnutrition, died of starvation, and the UK is complicit in that, and that is absolutely disgraceful. When we get independent Scotland, that has to end. That includes bombs, rocket launchers, and fighter planes that are being used to be dropped on innocent people. So when refugees do land in Scotland, we should do our best to make space at our table for them. Because in Scotland, when somebody comes to our door and they're traumatised and they're grieving for their lives, they're grieving for their homes, their children, and they're grieving for their Scotland because they've lost their country, what we do here is we get that kettle on. We treat them with dignity and respect and friendship and empathy. And when they go on to make Scotland their home, they then become part of the fabric of Scotland, and that is something that we could be proud of. So I asked some friends, but I'm not going to tell you all their answers because William will pull me off the stage with a big hook. So I'm going to just tell you my friend Kirsty what she said because I loved her answer. And she said, "I see an independent Scotland as vibrant, welcoming and inclusive. I see it as being a pioneer in tackling inequality and austerity. I see it saying no to austerity and aye to more social housing. I see it being a radical change for the better and something that I want to be a part of." That is what we should be striving for with independence and without independence, because that's the kind of country we are. Now, I have a very smart 10-year-old teenager thing at home, and she's my inspiration to be standing up here today. Last year, she got voted onto the Pupil Council, and when she showed Granny her badge, Granny said, "I think you're going to be the next First Minister of Scotland." So I've got a big responsibility on my shoulders. And we've got her future in our hands and all the next generation. And we should be taking care of that future, nurturing it, and make sure they've got a future that they want to be a part of. I know as an individual it feels like our voices are lost at the moment, but I can tell you, you're all individuals that are here today and you were sounded pretty loud to me. So well done, and I'll see you at the pub.
Now, I did say that we opened Scotland's newest Yes Hub at Destiny, 246 High Street this week. The lady who works with all the numbers and is very interested in numbers and is the beating heart of the whole operation is going to talk to us a wee bit about numbers now. Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome on the stage, please, Mary Baxter.
Hi, does that work? Great, that's brilliant. Except I'm a bit short. Hiya, guys.
Andrew.
I intend to talk about love, logic, and absolute numbers. Am I too strident? Tough? I'm a Glaswegian. You can't cure it. It's an ambitious subject for 3 minutes. But if you don't aim high, you plan to fall short. We aim very high here today. Right now, we will not fall short. I love my land with a deep, burning, aching passion. Is that how you feel? Yet there's one thing I love even more than my land. Oh my God, shock, horror, what could that possibly be? Democracy. Democracy is the prize of a civilized society. Is the UK democratic? No. Is it a country? No. Now the pages will be stuck together. I've got old hands. With first past the post, the UK fails the very first hurdle of democracy. Logic is also matters, for without that, there is only blind faith, and no person deserves your blind faith. Arguments must be based on evidence. Further, it does not matter what a person says, it's what they do that matters. Always, it's what they do that counts. I love numbers, and you're not allowed to groan at that, because they're actually beautiful. I'm going to prove that today, but it's no primary 5, it's no a math session. Stats, fractions, and the decimal point have their place. That's a very subtle mathematical joke, by the way, but never mind. They do count, but the best numbers are absolute numbers, and I love them. If I could meet a being from 100 billion light years away, they would know too. That beautiful absolute number 2 is not a debate. It is a fact. A lovely, polished, neat fact with no fluffy, woolly edges. So I could say to this being, I have 2 hands. And we would be able to exchange the word hands and the number 2. And with 2 plus 2, they would know 4. And you add in 6, and they know exactly what you mean. These absolute numbers are throughout the whole of our known, possibly imagined world, and it is pure and beautiful. Absolute numbers, the precise language and logic is what we need to create democracy. So here we have some numbers in black and white. We have these numbers. This is the democratic deficit of Scotland. 533 is English constituencies. That's not an anti-English statement. Michael Gove holds one of them. 59, that's what Scotland gets. And even with Wales at 40 and Northern Ireland at 18, you can see it here. We don't count. We are always sidelined. And I want to add one more number before I finish. London has 74 MPs. I'll repeat, Scotland has 59. It's in the numbers that we don't count. It is not a union. It is a colonisation of Scotland. Keep doing all the work you're doing, and we will fight for a free, independent, and democratic Scotland. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. If you're sticking around in Perth until tomorrow, or you live here per chance, the Yes Hub at 246 High Street, called Destiny, will be open from 1.5 tomorrow, and Mary will certainly be in there. She's a lot less frightening in person, so do go in and say hello. Now we got some more music from you, and this is, you're going to enjoy this. Ladies and gentlemen, gradually, water. Oh, we have a flood. But apparently it's not a problem. So you'll take a wee minute to set yourself up, I take it. All right. She'll have a wee chat. This, by the way, is Frankie Mary.
That's me. Hiya. Listen, I want to know if anybody can beat my record, okay? I left home at 7 o'clock this morning. What time did anybody beat that? Yay! We're the early birds. 6 hours on a bus. My God, my bum's sore, you know. Before I start, I don't know if she's even still here, but I would like to give I'd like you all to give a huge thank you to Pauline from Cllr. Pauline, are you still here? Pauline helped me carry my stuff. She's my honorary roadie as I got off the bus and we walked up here. So a huge thank you to Pauline. I don't know if I'd have made it without her. Hooray! Are we set? Yeah, that's fine. Oh, I can hear myself. Now, yep, I'm just setting her up. And I think we may be right. Oh, Mick TV. Is that all right? Right, that was the sound check. Now, this song I wrote after, I kid you not, this person said to me, of course, if we have nuclear weapons, they have to be in Scotland because that's the only place they can be. We can't put them anywhere in England. And I thought, no, that's rubbish, you know, because if the Westminster government wanted the nuclear weapons beside them, they'd find a way, wouldn't they? So that's what triggered off this song. It's called Where Will the Nuclear Weapons Go? Lots of sites for a nuclear base. Where will the weapons go? Where will they go? Every night I watch the news, 'cause that's what us old folks do. As I sit alone inside my little room, in my wee room, and I think, what's this fuss about? If Scots will take kick, tried and toot, there's surely plenty bits of England that can go. Canary Wharf to Pimlico, where will the nuclear weapons go? By the south bank there's a space, or Tower Bridge could be the place. There's lots of sites for a nuclear base. Where will the weapons go? Where will they go? Now they tell us Trident's safe, not a danger in our place. And we know that politicians never lie, of course they don't. So when the Scots finally vote yes, it isn't difficult to guess. Westminster will make sure that Trident is close by. Aye, right. From Canary Wharf to Pimlico, where will the nuclear weapons go? By the South Bank there's a space, or Tower Bridge could be the place. There's lots of sites for a nuclear base. Where will the weapons go? Where will they go? But I'm no stupid, and I ken the reason that they're at Faz Lane is that Londoners don't want them close at hand. Now you can't blame them. So when this union finally fails, let me warn you folks in Wales, you will wake one day and find them in your land. From Canary Wharf to Pimlico, where will the nuclear weapons go? By the South Bank there's a space, or Tower Bridge could be the place. There's lots of sites for a nuclear base. Where will the weapons go? From Canary Wharf to Pimlico, where will the nuclear weapons go? By the South Bank there's a space, or Tower Bridge could be the place. There's lots of sites for a nuclear base. Where will the weapons? Where will the weapons? Where will the weapons go? Thank you. Thank you. Now, I might be about to prove my essential femininity or not, because I'm going to try and keep talking to you and reset my lovely wee machine here, thus proving I can multitask or not. We're not doing too well at the moment. 81, that's the number to remember. If I forget, tell me. 81, okay? Here we are. Now that goes there, and they go there. I think we might have it. Can you see a thing? Right, we might have the technology. Now, I know what you're all thinking, okay? You're thinking, that's a funny wee fat wifey on the, funny wee fat old wifey on the stage. What's she going to do now? But most of you will be thinking, well, obviously, she's going to do a rap, isn't she? Because that's what funny wee old women do. This is a rap I wrote a few years ago. And I think actually this may be a world first. This may be the world's first ever rap parable, okay? And it's called No Fear, and there's a wee bit for you guys at the end, but all you have to remember is the words, okay? No fear. Right, if I haven't set this up, we're in trouble. Let's see what we get. Yes. Oh yes, see her, see me, street cred and buckets full, that's me. I work hard at my job from 9 to 5. My family and me, we just about survive at the end of the week when I get my pay. My neighbour comes to me and this is what he says. I think you should give all your money to me because we're better together, don't you see? I'll manage all your money, make sure that you're all right, give you back a little to spend on what you like, as long as it fits in with all my plans. Better together, don't you understand? Well, I think to myself, what on earth's that about? And as for my answer, I have no doubt, no fear. No fear. Don't think much of that idea. Now, I like my neighbour, don't get me wrong. We can meet and have a laugh or a party or a song, but I'll manage my life just as he can manage his, and we'll live at peace side by side, because that's the way it is. No fear, no fear. Don't think much of that idea. No fear. We need self-determination here, no fear. So I said to my neighbour, well, I don't agree, and I really don't think that's a good idea. I'm not a Wayne, I can manage my life, but that doesn't mean we have to live in strife. You can do your thing and I can do mine. Independent friends for the rest of time. We'll look out for each other, 'cause that's what pals do. And we'll live at peace side by side, contented and true. No fear, no fear. Don't think much of that idea. No fear, we need self-determination here. No fear. You see, I like my neighbour, don't get me wrong. We can meet and have a laugh or a party or a song. But I'll manage my life just as he can manage his. And we'll live at peace side by side, 'cause that's the way it is. No fear, no fear. Don't think much of that idea. No fear, we need self-determination here. No fear. No fear. Now that's your bit, okay? No fear. No fear. Can't you hear? No fear. No fear. No fear. Do we want to be in the UK? No fear. Do we want to be ruled by Boris? No fear. Want to be ruled by Westminster? No fear. Want to be ruled by Dominic? No fear. Want to be England's colony? No fear. Want to be in the UK? No fear. Give it loudly. No fear. They got to hear you in Balmoral. No fear. No fear. Want to be in the UK? No fear. 3 more times. No fear. Louder. No fear. As loud as you can last time. No fear. Thank you very much. I'm Frankie. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And if anybody knows a cheap flat to rent in Dundee or Glasgow, let me know. Thank you. Bye.
We're about done. I'm going to introduce you to somebody just to play us out, but I just wanted to say to those who remain that it's been a fabulous day and a tremendous turnout for what will be a memorable milestone in the history of Perth. And it's evidence that the Union's jacket really is on a sugly nail. We've got to now work to get this thing done. We're massively outgunned, I know. We don't have the press on our side, but what we do have is the skills and the ingenuity, as you've seen in all the stalls here, and the creativity, as you've heard from all the speakers here today, and the passion that you've heard from all the speakers here today. So, in the end of the day, we are all under one banner, and we are the good guys, and we'll prove it again in Edinburgh in a month's time. Go home safe, get ready, that one's going to be the biggest yet.